Hi, I'm Madeline, and I was wondering how Mount Vernon got its name.
How did Mount Vernon get its name? That's an excellent question. The property itself went by many different names over different time periods. Just north of the mansion there is a creek, and the natives in the area called that creek Epsawasson. When the Europeans and the British began to settle in the area, they renamed that property Little Hunting Creek. And that was the name of the property that the Washingtons inherited, moved into, dating back to 1674. When Lawrence Washington moved into the property, the general's older half-brother, he kept the property name of Little Hunting Creek, but he's the one who decided to change the name to Mount Vernon. Now, to understand where that name comes from, you have to understand the story of a British merchant captain named Robert Jenkins. Robert Jenkins was aboard a ship called the Rebecca, and a long time ago there was a treaty between the British and the Spanish limiting the number of ships that could trade to Spanish ports in the Caribbean. Robert Jenkins was impressed or captured by the Spanish, who felt that his ship violated that treaty. There was some back and forth, and eventually Captain Robert Jenkins had his ear cut off by the Spanish. About 1737, there were many other British ships impressed by the Spanish, and Parliament was getting upset, as you can imagine. They were trying to debate whether or not they should open war against the Spanish, and in 1738, Robert Jenkins went to testify before Parliament, and he brought with him, supposedly, his ear, which he kept pickled in a jar. This conflict would be known as the War of Jenkins' Ear. Parliament also ordered that an American division made up of colonials should serve in this conflict, and Lawrence Washington served as a captain under one of the American regiments. In overall command was an admiral named Edward Vernon. Their campaign was to try to take Cartagena in modern-day Colombia. That was unsuccessful, but eventually Admiral Vernon and Lawrence Washington were successful in taking Guantanamo Bay for the British. Now, Lawrence Washington had such respect for Admiral Edward Vernon that he renamed his property Mount Vernon. Mount for the hillside overlooking the Potomac River, and Vernon after this man that he so revered. So that's how we get the name Mount Vernon. Ironically, the home of our first president, the man who led us to our independence against the British, lives in a property that was named after a British admiral.
Click the subscribe button below and the bell icon to get notifications for new videos about George Washington and behind-the-scenes work at Mount Vernon.